What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be featuring Mannadium, but before I begin, if you could happen to click on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons, it would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. Clicking on those notification bells would also mean a lot, as they notify you when I upload on the channel. So for this first combo, I'll be going over one that's probably been talked about ad nauseum, and it takes just a hero lives, as we're going to bring out Elemental Hero Prisma, use the Prisma's effect in order to reveal the Vicious, and I'll read over the Vicious later in the combo as we send the Visas off the Prisma, as we're going to copy the name of the Visa since it's a name specifically listed on Vicious. And from here we'll be able to use the Prisma treated as Visas to go into our Lightheart, use the Lightheart in order to get us our Reichphobia. From here we'll be able to activate the Reichphobia, use its effect to get us the Reichheart, special summon out the Reichheart, use its effect in order to get us a search for the Arrival. We'll then be able to activate the Arrival, get back the Visas. From here we'll be able to go into Baron as our 5th summon, letting us play with the rest of our hand without using our normal summon through Nib, which is definitely kind of nice. But as you'll see in the second combo, another thing that's been spoken about ad nauseum is that there's more that you can do. So in the second combo, we'll be starting with a Hero Lives again, as we're going to bring out the Prisma. We'll then be able to use the Prisma's effect, which will copy the name of Visas listed on Vicious, and then we'll be able to send the Visas, go into our Lightheart. We'll be able to use the Lightheart's effect, get ourselves the Reichphobia. Reichphobia can then get ourselves the Reichheart. Reichheart can special summon itself out, get itself the search for the Arrival, as we're then going to be able to go into the Cross Sheep, go into our Vicious Estrade, which reads that it takes 1 Visa Starfrost plus 1 monster with 1500 attack, 2100 defense. So basically Rhino Heart, Rise Heart, Riem Heart, or Reichheart, and it must be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above cards from your field and or graveyard. If this card is special summoned, you can target one other monster on the field, destroy it. And if you do, this card gained attack equal to half of the destroyed monster's original attack or defense, whichever is higher, and it cannot be destroyed by battle. So the great part about it is the way that you can summon it, along with its level being very relevant to the deck. But we're then going to trigger the Cross Sheep here as well, which will bring back the Prisma. The Prisma can then reveal another copy of Vicious, and really you can reveal more stuff than just Vicious if you want to take that approach, but keep in mind that you are adding a lot of engine if you do that, as the deck already plays a lot of engine on its own. So from here we're going to then have a Visa via the Prisma, which will allow us to bring back the Lightheart, and then from here we can go into our Appaloosa, as we'll then use the Arrival to bring back the Visas, and then we can go into a Baron, giving us an Omni Negate along with 3 monster negation. Now for this third combo, I'll be starting with Mannadium Riem Heart and Mannadium Hearless. Mannadium Riem Heart is basically the MC of the deck, and during the main phase, if this card is in your hand, quick effect, you can target 1 Mannadium monster or 1 monster with 1500 attack, 2100 defense you control, cost, destroy it, and if you do, special summon this card. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Mannadium card from your deck to your hand, except Riem Heart, and you can only use each effect of Riem Heart once per turn. Hearless reads that if you control Visa Starfrost or a monster with 1500 attack, 2100 defense, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Hearless once per turn this way. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Hearless from your deck. Also, synchro monsters you control gain 500 attack during the battle phase this turn only. So from here we're then going to start by normal summoning the Riem Heart, and there are other combos where it may be better to use the Riem Heart from hand and normal summon the Hearless. I'll go through that later in the video, but we're going to start here by adding the Obsession, and this is another new Mannadium card that we'll be getting in Cyberstorm Access. It reads, target 1 monster you control, destroy it, and if you do, add 1 Prime Planet Calarium from your deck to your hand. Or, if you control Calarium, you can add 1 Mannadium spell Trap to your hand instead, except Obsession. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 Visas or 1 monster with 1500 attack, 2100 defense from your hand. You can only use each effect of Obsession once per turn. So another extender, as we'll be able to use the Obsession now after we special summon out the Hearless. And one thing to point out is that as we're going to add the field spell off of it, as the field spell reads that when this card is activated, you can add 1 Mannadium monster or 1 Visa Starfrost from your deck to your hand. So basically like the rest of the Visas lore field spells lets you add one of its archetype along with a Visas, and all light monsters you control gain 100 attack for each tuner you control and in your graveyard. If a face-up tuners you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one of them, special summon it. You can only use this effect of Calarium once per turn. You can only activate one Calarium per turn. So keep in mind that when you activate the Calarium, as I was saying previously, you do gain attack for the Riem Heart, so if you happen to have another tuner in hand, when you activate it, you won't be able to special summon it if you do have the other one from the Mannadium archetype that I'll be going over momentarily. So that is important to note, but from here we're going to use the Meek, get another copy of itself, as we'll be able to activate the Calarium now. We'll then be able to get a search for the Visas. From here we can use the Visas, pop the Meek. This will be able to trigger the Meek along with our field spell, and this will get us 2 more copies of Meek essentially, which from here we'll then be able to start going for our board as we're going to go into the Lightheart, use the effect of the Lightheart, get the Reichphobia, use the Reichphobia in order to get Reichheart, as we're then going to special summon out the Reichheart. We'll be able to get a search along with a draw because we have 3 total defense position monsters. Now keep in mind that for all of these combos I'm going to be drawing Visas Starfrost, as my deck isn't randomized, so just treat this as a random card. And then from here we'll be able to go into our Cross Sheep, use the Arrival to bring back the Visas. From here we'll be able to then go into our Baron to protect our plays from here, as we'll go into our Vicious, and then from here we can trigger the Cross Sheep as we'll be able to get back the Riem Heart, go into our Charge Warrior. We can then use the Charge Warrior, draw into another card, as we'll then go into our Axel, use the Axel in order to get back our Meek, and then from here we can go into Bestial Dispatter. This is another card that is great for the archetype, as you do go into level 10s quite frequently, but this one is Bestial Dispatter, and it reads that it takes 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner dragon monsters, so pretty generic, and you can target 1 banished light or dark monster, special summon it to your field. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can target 1 banished card, shuffle it into the deck. Then, if you were that card's owner, destroy that monster. If your opponent was, negate that activated effect. You can only use each effect of Dispatter once per turn. Not only is it a disruption or a potential disruption, but the fact that you can just flat out special summon out one of your banished light or darks back from the banished zone is insane, and we're going to do that to bring back the Visas Starfrost, as we're then going to be able to get the Lightheart onto the field because of that from the graveyard, as we're then going to go into our Appa, make another copy of Vicious, as we'll then be able to make a rank 8 as we make the number 38 to round out our end board. And keep in mind that you get 2 draws off of this along with everything that you see here on the board that you got off of just Riem Heart and the Meek. Now for the second combo, or the second variation of the combo, we have Mannadium Meek, and this one reads that if you control Visas Starfrost or a monster with 1500 attack, 2100 defense, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Mannadium Meek once per turn this way. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Meek from your deck, then increase its level by 2. So that is a really important effect, as it definitely changes some of the things that you can do. The level manipulation is just such a great addition to an effect that can already flow into another body in an archetype that is meant to destroy your own stuff. But we're going to normal summon the Riem Heart, use its effect to get the Obsession again. We're going to start this one basically the same way as we did last, but we're going to get ourselves the Calarium, be able to bring out another copy of Meek, and then from here we'll be able to activate the Calarium. Keep in mind that you do want to increase the level of it, I believe, or no, you actually don't need to yet, because we're going to use the Visas in order to special summon that out, and then we're going to trigger the Meek along with the field spell, and then from here we'll be able to get 2 copies of Meek on board, as you do want to turn one of them into level 4, and then from here we'll be able to use the Lightheart, get ourselves the Reichphobia, activate the Reichphobia, get ourselves the Reichheart, and then from here we'll be able to special summon out the Reichheart, use its effect in order to get ourselves the Arrival, get ourselves a draw, as we're going to go into the Cross Sheep, as then we're going to go into the Axel, use the Axel in order to get another tuner, and this will give us the level 10 access as we go into the Dispatter. We'll then go into our Vicious, trigger the Cross Sheep, which will bring back a Meek, and then from here we can go into into a Baron, as we're then going to use the Disc Patter, get ourselves back the Visas, as then from here we can go into a Chengying. And at this point we still haven't even used the Arrival, so we can now use the Arrival to bring back the Visas, bring back the Lightheart from our graveyard, and this will give us the Appaloosa access, along with the ability to make the Vicious Estrade for a pop as follow-up. Now for this next combo, because I've been showing what happens when we do have Heart or Prisma, I do want to show what happens when you do get the field spell, because it does change a little bit. We also have Visa Starfrost, which is just an extender that also happens to pop, but I want to show this also because it is something that comes up, and we'll be able to get ourselves the Heart off the field spell. We'll normal summon the Peerless this time around, as we're going to then use the Heart in order to special summon itself out, popping the Meek, or the Hearless. I've been calling it Meek all video, but we're then going to use the effect of Meek along with the Heart, as we're also going to trigger the field spell as Chainlink 3. We'll get ourselves the 2 Hearless along with the search for the Meek, and then from here we'll be able to continue to extend our plays as we're going to bring out the Visa Starfrost, and keep in mind that you do want to keep a monster zone under the extra monster zone open, so that's why I put the Visas there. And we're going to bring out the Meek now, and keep in mind that I brung out the Meek because if this is the only stuff that you're playing with and you get nibbed, you're probably done anyways. So bringing out the Meek at least lets you do this, as you'll see momentarily, where we're going to get a draw, go into the Axel, and in this case where if our opponent were to choose to do something to our Axel, we can at least use its effect in order to go into the Stardust and synchro away with the Meek. I'm going to use its effect in order to get the Revival. I'm also not going to go into the Stardust Dragon for the majority of this video because I don't want to take the extra steps, but we're going to then go into our Baron, putting it in defense position because we want 3 defense position monsters, as the Reichheart will be our 3rd. And then from here we'll be able to add the Reichheart off the Reichphobia, special summon out the Reichheart, as we're going to get ourselves the add for the Arrival, as then from here we can then go into our Cross Sheep, use the Arrival in order to bring back the Reichheart. And then from here we have to be a little bit creative, as we're going to use the effect of the Baron to pop the Meek. The Meek will then be able to get another copy of itself in order to level manipulate it, turn it into level 8, as we're going to go into our Scarlight, and then from here we can go into our Vicious. Vicious will be able to trigger the Cross Sheep along with the ability to bring back a Hearless, which is a tuner, in order to go into the Disc Patter, and then from here we'll be able to use the Disc Patter, get back the Visas, we'll be able to trigger the Lightheart, or use the Lightheart in our graveyard in order to special summon it out, and then from here we can go into our Apo, as we'll then be able to make another copy of Vicious, and then go into our number 38 to round out our end board. Now, I want to come back to a similar hand, as this time we have the Meek, and I want to kind of drive to the point why Meek is better with the last 4 replays that I've done, but we're going to normal summon the Meek, use the Heart, popping the Meek and special summoning itself out, as we're going to get the Chainlink 1 Meek, Chainlink 2 Heart, Chainlink 3 Field Spell. We're then going to be able to get ourselves the bodies along with the search, as we grab ourselves the Hearless off the Heart. We'll then go into our Axel, as we're going to use the Axel in order to bring back the Meek. We'll then be able to go into our Baron, protect our place from here, as we're going to use the Visas, pop the Meek. We'll then be able to get the Meek's effect, which will bring out another copy of itself. We'll change it to level 4, as we're going to special summon out the Hearless, use the effect of the Lightheart. You'll notice that the Baron is in attack position because, as you can see, we have 2 defense position monsters, though you can still put the Baron in defense position if you would like to play around Lightning Storm and not waste a negate on it. But we'll then be able to special summon out the Reichheart, as we'll use its effect in order to get ourselves the Arrival, add ourselves the Visa Starfrost off a draw, which again, it's random, but we'll get ourselves the Cross Sheep. We'll then activate the Arrival to get back the Reichheart, and then from here we'll be able to go into our Scarlight, as we'll then go into our Disc Patter, and then from here we can go into our Vicious, trigger our Cross Sheep to bring back a Meek, and then from here we can use the Disc Patter to bring back the Vicious, as we're then going to go into the Chengying, use the effect of Lightheart, and from here, as you can see, we actually expanded upon our board with 3 level 10 synchros, along with the Apo this time around. We also do have the follow-up Vicious Estrade, which banishing the materials on our next turn can even trigger the Chengying, which is kind of nuts. Now for this next combo, I want to show a little bit of a mix of all the combos I've shown, where this time we actually draw into the Scareclaw engine or part of it. But we're going to start this one by activating the Hero Lives, and we'll be able to bring out our Prisma. We'll then be able to use the Prisma's effect, copy the Vicious material name as we'll send the Visas, and then from here we can go into our Lightheart, use the Lightheart's effect in order to get ourselves the Reichphobia, use the Reichphobia in order to get ourselves the Search for the Visas because we have the right card already. We'll then normal summon the Hearless as we'll use the Visas effect in order to bring itself out, trigger the Hearless effect in order to bring another copy of itself out, special summon out our right card as now we have 3 defense position monsters. We'll then get a draw along with the Arrival. We'll then go into our Cross Sheep, use the Arrival to bring back the right card, activate our Lightheart from the graveyard as we'll be able to bring it back, and then we'll be able to go into our Baron, go into our Vicious, triggering our Cross Sheep as this will bring back a Meek or a Hearless, and then from here we can go into a Chengying as we'll then be able to go into Appaloosa. So it's not as strong as your other boards when you happen to draw into your Mannadium stuff, but I do still feel it's worth pointing out that you have to know how to play with hands that aren't necessarily as explosive as your other ones. Now for these last 2 combos, I want to show some different things that you can do, and this first one is probably one of the spicier ones that I haven't seen a lot of people doing, and this is a great combo if people aren't playing Nib because a deck just plays around it too well. And we're going to start with the Mannadium Heart as we're going to add ourselves the Obsession, special summon out the Hearless along with the Meek. Use the Obsession, popping the Meek. From here we can then get the Field Spell along with another copy of Meek on board as we're going to change it to level 4. And then from here, we're going to use the Field Spell as we're going to get the Visa Starfrost, use the Visa Starfrost, popping the Hearless. From here, we can then get the Hearless effect along with the Field Spell as we'll get 2 more copies of Hearless. And then from here, we'll be able to go into our Lightheart, use the effect of the Lightheart in order to get the Reichphobia, activate the Reichphobia. Yes, we're not playing around Nib at all, but we're going to get ourselves a Reichheart, activate the Reichheart's effect, getting us a draw along with the Search of Arrival. We'll then be able to go into our Cross Sheep, activate the Arrival, bringing back the Reichheart. We'll then go into our Axel as we're going to use the Axel's effect, get back a tuner from our graveyard, a level 2 tuner or lower, but we'll then be able to use the Charge Warrior as we're then going to go into our Scarlight, then go into our Vicious. The Vicious will then trigger the Cross Sheep as we'll then be able to bring back our Meek, pass to our opponent, and then from here, the minute that our opponent does something that you may want to respond to, if they do Riem Heart, wait for the add, and then from there you can activate the Stardust Axel. This will bring out the Stardust, synchro with the Scarlight and your 2 tuners into the Hot Red King Calamity, and basically stop your opponent from playing. Now for this final combo, and this has to do with direction again, and I won't be doing test hands simply because I do feel that when you have 2-3 cards, a lot of the combinations are essentially the same, and I don't want to make the video repetitive or waste your time. So I'm going to bring out the 2 tuners here, use the Obsession's effect in order to pop the Meek, get a copy of the Field Spell. From here we'll be able to use the Meek in order to bring another copy of itself, change it to 4 in order to go into our Axel, use the Axel to bring back Meek, go into our Baron, and then from here we can use the Field Spell, get ourselves the Visa Starfrost, use the Visas to pop the Hearless. From here we can bring out the Visas, use the effect of the Hearless along with the Field Spell, get 2 more copies of Hearless. From here we're going to be able to go into our Lightheart, and then from here we'll be able to use its effect to get the Reichphobia, use the Reichphobia to get ourselves the copy of Reichheart, special summon out the Reichheart, get ourselves a Search and a draw because we have 3 defense position monsters. From here we'll be able to go into our Cross Sheep, activate the Arrival, bring back the Reichheart, as we'll then be able to go into the Mud Dragon synchro this time, or the Muddy Mud Dragon. And there's a few cool plays that you can do with this one, but the way that I'm going to do this one is we're going to go into our Vicious, trigger the Cross Sheep, bringing back the Meek, as we'll then be able to go into our Chengying, go into our Tri-Burst Dragon, and then from here we can use the effect of the Muddy Dragon in order to go into a Dragoon, giving us 3 annoying boss monsters to get over with just these 3 cards via the Dragoon, the Chengying, and the Baron. Now finally onto the deck list, and I'd first like to go over some of the other new cards that we're getting. Mannadium Imagining reads, reveal 1 Mannadium monster or 1 Visas in your hand, draw 2 cards, then place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 monster you control with 1500 attack, 2100 defense. It is treated as a tuner until the end of the turn. You can only use each effect of Imagining once per turn. Also, we have the Counter Trap Mannadium Reframing. It reads, when a spell, trap card, or a monster effect is activated while you control a synchro monster, negate the activation. Then if you have Visa Starfrost or a monster with 1500 attack, 2100 defense on your field or in your graveyard, you can destroy that card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target up to 3 Mannadium monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. You can only use each effect of Mannadium Reframing once per turn. Keep in mind that this is something that you can search off of Obsession, which is definitely nice, and a good side deck option in order to counter Dark Ruler no more. If you notice that is something that could be a problem for this deck. Then we do have the Mannadium Breakheart. It reads, target 1 tuner or 1 synchro monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Then if it is a light monster, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls with an equal or lower attack. If a Visas and or monsters with 1500 attack, 2100 defense you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. You can only use each effect of Breakheart once per turn. I'm actually not quite sure if this one comes out in Cyberstorm Access. I'll get back to that in the comments section, but then we do have the Mannadium Primeheart, which reads, 1 tuner plus 1 light monster are what you need in order to summon it, and then we have this card can attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of tuners used as synchro material. Your opponent cannot target this card synchro summoned using a Mannadium tuner as a material with card effects. If this face-up synchro summoned card in its owner's control leaves the field by an opponent's card, you can special summon one of your Visa Starfrost or one of your monsters with 1500 attack, 2100 defense that is banished or in your graveyard. So you'll notice that I'm not playing it, and again, I just feel like there's better options that you may want to end on. Even the Ice Trade is better in my opinion. There's also the Chaos Angel, which I'll show the art on screen since we don't have it on EDO Pro yet, but it takes 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner light and or dark monsters. For this card synchro summon, you can treat 1 light or dark monster you control as a tuner, and if this card is special summoned, you can target 1 card on the field, banish it. This card gains the following effects based on the original attributes of the materials used for its synchro summon. Light, synchro monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated monster effects. Dark, your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. And this is really good here because Reichheart is dark, Visas is light. We also have the Riem Heart, which is light if you have to make it with 2 light, along with the Prisma. But then it just also is able to give you removal, which is kind of nuts. Then going over some of the other options that you may see here, the Mirror Jade is another option that you have with Muddy Dragon, in which if you want to play something like Alba Lenatus to get some instant fusion plays or whatever going, then you technically can do this, but it probably is a waste of extra deck space. Then we have the Bow Baboon, which is an option that TGYGO went over, and it's something that is cute, but you do have to consider that it only works with the Visas. It's not something that you can search either. It does give you access into rank 3s, or it can even go into Sheru in order to get the adventure engine going, but again, it's just overdoing engine, which is kind of why you see some of the choices I have in my list the way they are. I'll talk about them a little bit more in detail as I get through to that. But then Shifter is another thing, as I mentioned earlier, where if your opponent doesn't respect Shifter, this is something that you can definitely side in versus stuff like Dark World, and it's just an FTK. And from here, then we have the set rotation. The set rotation is definitely not something I would play in the beginning of the format with a lot of people wanting to play Mannadium. There's no reason to give them a free field spell. I would keep this on the side until it's a possible rogue deck. Outside of the options, I'll get onto the deck list now. So you will see that there is 28 slots invested into engine, and I feel like when you're not playing Prosperity and other deck thinners, that can be kind of a lot, especially when you consider having hands that can consist of opening double a hero lives, or just multiple of your field spells, and hands with Visas along with your tuners and maybe hand traps that aren't necessarily great. Those are definitely some consistency issues that the deck does have, but what it does have going for it is that it takes so few cards in order to create such gigantic boards. For the going second cards, you can honestly play whatever you want. I filled this with whatever I wanted here. The Imperm and the Nibs may come up more often than not. The Ghost Ogre can as well, especially with the Eevee deck coming along with the new Dark one. Getting that off the field so that you can prevent the towers from coming out could be very important. important. Then another thing that may be different to other builds, I know that a lot of people have played 2 Arrival along with 3 Obsession. I just don't like the 3 Obsession because I feel it's too much when you consider all the potential bricks that you do have. Same thing with the Arrival, and I get it, especially when Kashtira is around in the format, and you can go over 40 if you would like to, but in my testing, I just felt like it was enough. But outside of that, I don't feel I really have anything else to say that I didn't cover in the combo, so I'll get onto the card by card. We have the 3 Visas, the 3 Riemhard, the 3 Reichart, the 3 A Hero Lives, Prisma, Arrival, Reinforcement of the Army, Obsession, 3 Hearless, the Meek, 2 Reichphobia, the 1 Terraforming, the 3 Calarium, the 3 Nibiru, the 3 Ghost Ogre, 3 Ash, and the 3 Imperm to round out the main deck. Onto the extra deck, we have the Calamity, the Dispatter, the Chengying, the Baron, the Stardust XL, the Stardust Dragon, the Hot Red, Charge Warrior, Coral Dragon, number 38, the 2 Vicious, Lightheart, Cross Sheep, and Appaloosa to round out the deck profile. But anyways, if you made it this far into the video, I thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.